What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Control the Narrative, episode 33. Pretty crazy. We're on 33. Feels like just yesterday we streamed for the first time and the whole episode was fucked up. But we're up to 33 right now. Just fresh off the All-Star break, and we got a special guest in the house tonight, or on the Google Hangouts tonight. We got Matt, the Knicks fan, who I've been trying to get on for a minute. So, Matt, what's going on, bro? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, dude. So for those who don't follow you on Twitter and don't really know your basketball background, why don't you just tell us how you started liking basketball, who's your favorite player, favorite team, and all that shit kind of leading up to today?
Started pretty young. The whole family's like big basketball fans. We're all Knicks fans for the most part. And my favorite player was Carmelo Anthony since day one. And the way I became a big Melo fan was my older cousin would always pick the Knicks on NBA 2K5.
Yeah.
So
You got that shit.
So he gave me the Nuggets the first time, and I just used them ever since throughout the years, just because of Carmelo.
On 2K5. Yo, that's literally the same thing with me, except I was with NBA Live 2005. So that's funny. So, like, did you follow him from team to team, or were you a Knicks fan, and when he came here, were you hype? Like,
yeah, I was a Knicks fan, but Carmelo's always been my favorite player, so it made it better when he was on the Knicks.
word, respect. And then you followed him to OKC, Houston.
Yep.
All right, word. So we got that out of the way. Speaking of Portland, what are your thoughts on his recent play, including just last night? We're recording this on Monday, so last night he dropped 32, and that was the first time he scored 30 in almost exactly 3 years. What do you think of just how he's been playing over the past couple weeks or month?
He's been solid over the last couple weeks, aside from a couple of 5-point games. Those can't happen. But other than that, he's been taking his shots, and when they set him up early, he's been clicking the rest of the game.
Yeah. Dude, it's really like crazy to see because last night he only took 16 shots. It's not like he took a ton of shots, but he was just efficient as hell, and just seeing Anthony 32 points next to it was just fucking crazy to me. So, did you watch the game last night, or did you just catch the highlights?
No, I saw the game.
Yeah, what'd you think of just like seeing him throwing it back to fucking 2015 when he was dropping 30 points every night?
It felt great, being that he was blackballed for a year, but this 30-point game drought was way overdue. There was a few games throughout the years where he's gotten to 28, 26, and then he goes cold at the end, or the game just ends and he gets subbed out or whatever. So it shouldn't have taken this long, but
Yeah.
it was a great win.
And even like I'm thinking of back to the OKC days where I remember he was cooking and he was hitting like 8 of 12 or some shit like that, and it's not even like the game ended or some shit like that. They just didn't give him the fucking ball enough. He just wasn't getting the shots, even though he was being mad effective, which was mad frustrating because we know what he can do when he gets the opportunity, and it seems like when they give him the fucking ball, he performs, and like you really quickly mentioned, get him cooking in the beginning.
Yeah, it always starts in the beginning with Melo. They can't ice him out in the beginning of the game and then give him the ball when the game's on the line and expect him to hit all his shots. They need to get him in motion. He's a volume shooter.
Yep. And to me, it's not even get him the ball when the game's on the line, because they don't do that. They like run their shit with the Lillard or McCollum or whatever, and then they kick it to Melo last second, and it's in a spot up roll or some shit like that. It's not like they give it to him at the elbow where he can really get comfortable. They just kick it to him last second. Even in Toronto, when that shit happened, they gave it to him last second, and he made something happen out of nothing. He was feeling it that night, but most of the times they just give him spot-up shots in the fourth quarter, and it's tough for him to be in that rhythm when he doesn't touch the ball that much during the game.
Yeah, I felt like last night CJ waves him off a couple times, and he was gunning for a 40-point game instead of just running the two-man game when Melo was working all night.
Yep. So as of right now, Portland is 3 games out of a playoff spot behind the Memphis Grizzlies. Whoever gets that 8th spot, it doesn't look like the Mavericks are going to slip all the way down to 8 or even out. So it looks like 7 through 1 is locked up, and 8 through kind of 10 or 11 right now is a real big mix with Memphis, Portland, New Orleans, San Antonio. Which team out of those 4 do you think has the best shot of not necessarily beating the Lakers, but giving them a real series?
I think it's the Lakers. No, I meant the Blazers off of experience. Because Memphis and New Orleans. They're too young to compete with the Lakers.
Yeah.
I think it would just be like a 4 or 5 game series at the most. With the Blazers, you have Dame and CJ, experienced guards in the playoffs, even though they're usually not on the same page in the playoffs. They can still compete with guys like LeBron and AD. They're prepared for the moment. And if they put Kuzma on Carmelo, it's over. The Blazers easily get two games off of that.
So you think it will go to 6?
Yeah.
Do you think the Blazers have any real shot of winning?
No, I don't think so. Especially if they bring back Nurkic and try to get him in the mix and get him in rhythm.
Yeah,
that might be too much all at once.
Yeah, I don't think the Blazers don't have a shot, because I think if Lillard does what he was doing for that week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever that was, I think they have a shot, and I think 6 is really fair. A lot of people saying, "Oh, Lakers gonna sweep whoever the fuck it is, number 8 anyway," and I don't think there's any shot that the Blazers get swept. I know on defense they haven't really been doing shit, and they're giving up a lot of points and everything, but I just think the fact that Dame Lillard can drop 45, 50 on any given night, I think you're right. I think they win 1 or 2 games. So
yeah, they can easily get 2 games. They need like 30 to 35 from Lillard, 25 from McCollum, 20 plus from Melo. And then hope maybe the Lakers just have a debacle down the stretch and they get 2 games.
What about the Spurs? You have no faith in them?
No, I don't like DeRozan or Marcus Aldridge in the playoffs. I don't
Why?
think they'd do anything. I feel like DeRozan he shows off through the regular season. He looks like a superstar.
Yeah.
And then he gets to the playoffs, the game slows down. He doesn't get as many transition baskets, and he has to rely on a perimeter game.
So we got a question, kind of 2 questions in one, from Twitter. One from @AllinJones, who said, if Melo wasn't signed by the Blazers, do you think any other team would have given them a shot? And 2, from @HoodieMar29, do you want him to re-sign in Portland? So what are your thoughts on those 2?
Well, you'd hope that his brother would have brought him in eventually to the Los Angeles Lakers. But the way it was looking, I don't know. I didn't think LeBron would have brought him in. And to say if he would sign, if I wanted to re-sign with the Blazers or not, yeah, I'd be open to it. But it would kind of depend how the offseason would go. Because
explain what would have to happen for you to be cool with Melo signing, and what would have to happen for you to be like Melo, don't sign.
If they can somehow get Bradley Beal for CJ McCollum, I'd be more than happy to have Melo sign with the Blazers again. But if it's another playoff series where you have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum not on the same page and they're playing the same way, I don't think it's going to work. It's going to be similar to Lowry and DeRozan.
So pretty much you want McCollum out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know. That backcourt, they're 2 guys and they're so fucking talented and everyone knows how good each of them are. Me personally, I haven't loved McCollum. What I've seen, the past couple games, he's been balling out great without Lillard, but it just feel like he forces so much shit, and for whatever reason, he always looks off Melo, and we've spoken about it on this podcast before. He just on purpose, intentionally looks off Melo to get a bad shot, and usually it doesn't go in. So for me, real quick, that first one, after that Nets shit didn't go through, when their 2 best players, I don't care if they were hurt or not, were vouching for Melo and saying, yo, get this guy in here, and it didn't happen, not even gonna lie, I got kind of nervous, man. I'm like, fuck, if KD and Kyrie can't get Melo in the door, LeBron's, like you said, isn't getting Melo through the door for whatever fucking reason, where else could it be? And I was seriously starting to doubt it, and I've said this a couple times, but I didn't really want to say it out loud. I was just like, all right, hashtag free Melo, let's go, our guy's going to get back in the league, but I wasn't starting to believe it. So if the Blazers hadn't signed Melo, I don't really see how he could have signed somewhere else. A lot of players signed at the trade deadline with buyouts and shit like that, but I think at that point it would have been 14, 15 months that Melo was out of the league. So I feel like if he hadn't been signed by then, what would have made a team been like, all right, cool, let's bring him in. So go ahead.
I don't think it would have been a great fit if the Clippers would have picked him up at the trade deadline, signed him. Yeah. Because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard always missed games. So for Melo to go from starting power forward to coming off the bench every other night, I don't think it would have been good for him. It would have been too much of a switch up on a game-to-game basis for him to prepare.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's where I wanted Melo to go originally before the season. I still think the Clippers have the best chance of winning the championship. I feel like they have the players to do it, and once they get their shit together, I know it's getting kind of late, and they got couple injury-prone guys, but I don't know, man. I just feel like there's something about that team. They got all fucking ballers and shit like that, so that's where I wanted him to go. And could he have fit there? Now, in retrospect, looking at it, I'm not sure. Like, he is really a great fit in Portland, even though he doesn't get the ball and doesn't get as many shots as you and I both would like. But I don't know. I think the Clippers would have been his best chance at a ring. And I think now, with what he's done in Portland, it's extended his career. I want to say 2 years. How many more years do you think he got?
At least 15 points a game, I'd say at least two.
2 years, right? Yeah. And that's what I think. I don't think he's someone who is just going to sit on the bench and put up like 5 points a game and play 10, 12 minutes. So,
No, that's not worth it.
yeah, it's not. It's not. So, the second part, do I want him to resign? I addressed this. I feel like whatever he wants to do, whatever he prioritizes, if he prioritizes, being happy in that situation and getting the ball, and it seems like the guys respect him, even though McCollum doesn't really seem like that on the court. If he's happy, man, and he doesn't care about a ring as much as he cares about, being respected and scoring and being in a great fit, then sure. For me, I'm always looking down the road at a potential Knicks reunion. I just think having one more year, dude, at the Garden, it would be fucking crazy. So that's kind of always in the back of my mind when I think about shit like that.
Yeah, we need at least one more season with Melo with the Knicks.
Right?
Like to give Kevin Knox a chance, anyways. Might as well have somebody respectable start.
Yeah, but we got Bobby Gibson. I was gonna say Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bobby Portis. Give Melo Bobby Portis his shots and then some. Since Bobby Portis just shoots the ball whenever he feels like it.
For real. So we got a lot of people on social media now. We made that apology form. A bunch of people signed it and are saying, shit, Melo's proving me wrong and everything like that. Do you, if you could speak for the entire Melo fan base, do you accept all these apologies that people are pouring in via tweets and Instagram posts and all this shit about how they were wrong about Melo, or do you think they should kind of stay on that side and fuck them? They were talking shit, so keep talking shit.
No, they got to keep that same energy. The same way they switched back is the same way they turned on him in the first place. They shouldn't have had to apologize. The guy has 25,000 points. How do you say he's not worthy of playing in the NBA? He's a 10-time All-Star, scoring champion, All-NBA. How do you just say, oh, this guy is not worthy of being on an NBA roster, 17 people, 15 that are fully guaranteed contracts? How do you just turn that away and say he's not good enough?
So you don't want them on our side?
Nope. They're just riding the hype now because nobody's saying anything bad. They haven't talked about Melo on Undisputed in over a month. No matter how good or how bad he plays, they just left it alone.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. We made that forum that went like semi-viral. A lot of people saw it or whatever, but I don't know, man. Melo's written like he's been a liked player, but he's never really been one of the most loved players in the NBA. There's always been this kind of not even narrative, but like a concept around him that he's good, but he's not that good, and he got in trouble, like some legal trouble early in his career. So I feel like he was never really loved, like a guy like LeBron was loved in Cleveland, and Kobe and D Wade and all these guys. So I am kind of on board with you. We made that just kind of a little joke, but I think that if people were talking shit and there were so many people, you would look at the Bleacher Report like, oh, Nets aren't going to sign Melo, and all these memes and the replies and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, like you said, Melo's balling out, and now, oh shit, dude, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't know why I thought this. Like, he's 25,000 points. Like, you don't get 25,000 points by mistake. I think he's 17th all time right now, so I kind of agree with you. I think they should keep that same energy now.
Yeah, it's like Melo always has to prove himself on and off the court. People see the legal trouble and they bashed him for it, but then when he cleaned up his act, nobody said anything. It's just, oh, we expect this of him. And then when he's on the court and he's doing his thing, people want to downplay it, but let somebody else, like off the bench, have those same numbers one time a month, and it's a whole celebration.
Yep. Just like an example, USA. He has 3 gold medals. Best USA player of all time. Oh, it's only the Olympics. Or last year, when he had that 28-point game at Barclays Center. Whatever. It's only 1 game out of 10 games, even though he had a couple other 20-point games. And then even last night, 32 points in a win. And the dagger with, I think, like 22 seconds left. Oh, who cares? It was against the Pistons. It's like always something. It's never just like, all right, like respect. And even when he won Player of the Week, you remember that one of his first weeks, everyone was like, oh, yeah, but Harden had this, or he didn't deserve it. This was it's always something. So it's frustrating as a fan, but uh, I've kind of learned to just ignore it and, if anything, state the facts, and that's kind of how we created this whole thing. And just like, you know what, you could say what you want to say about him, but it's not true. Like, this is literally one of the greatest players of all time.
I saw one tweet saying, "Oh, he shouldn't have taken that shot. It's a mid-range shot, and he left 7 seconds on the shot clock." It might have been Daryl Morey's burner account. But
Unreal, man.
I don't see why. Like, that's literally his spot. Out of all the players in the NBA, you want him on the elbow taking a wide open jump shot to close out the game.
But according to, the general NBA and the Daryl Moreys of Twitter, it's not a high percentage shot, so he shouldn't take that even if it goes in, which to me just makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I don't know how many players in the NBA have to tell you this guy is legit for them to be like, "Oh yeah, you see what he's doing now."
Coach, and like, not even players. Players, it's one thing, like, they all respect him, they grew up watching him and shit. But the coaches do too, you can see, because they fucking send double teams at him in 2020. This dude came in the league in 2003, and they're sending help when he's at the elbow. If he wasn't shooting a high percentage, or that shot wasn't going in, or he wasn't good, or he couldn't play in the NBA, they wouldn't be sending two guys at him.
Yeah, it's like now this guy, you want to double team him every time he puts his back to the basket, but 6 months ago you wanted nothing to do with him on your team. So if you know how good he is, why didn't you just bring him in the first place?
Yep.
If you're that good of a coach, then the fake news about his personality in the locker room and how bad of a teammate is, then you figure that out if you're a good coach.
Yeah, and you see that, like, Anthony Tolliver, when he was in Portland, said Melo's one of the best teammates he's ever had. Lillard and McCollum can't stop saying great things about it. Even last night, Gary Trent, like, yeah.
Everybody from stop to stop. Kenyon Martin, J.R. Smith, what's
And
his
that's
name,
the
Lance Thomas.
yeah, that's the thing. When people say good things, it doesn't make noise. But when you have some fucking idiot like Billups who says one thing from like 2006 about Melo, then it's, oh yeah, Melo's not a good teammate and all this shit. So
Yeah, and on J.R. Smith's All the Smoke interview, he said when Allen Iverson was there with Melo and when Chauncey Billups was there, George Karl wanted point quotas from everybody. He didn't preach defense. He said, "I want 30 plus from Melo," which would explain why after they win and he had like 25, he'd be mad because he
didn't do his job.
Yeah, he didn't do what the coach asked him to do. He wanted guys like Kenyon Martin, Linus Clays, all these guys to meet a point quota instead of them like playing their part as like a defensive team. Dante Jones, everybody. And nobody ever brought that up to say, "Oh, here's the context, the Chauncey Billups story."
It doesn't fit the narrative. You know how this goes. Even with the Knicks, like, you see so much shit about the Knicks. I don't know if you saw, there was a tweet about a Dwayne Wade documentary. Did you see that? ESPN tweeted that out.
I don't think so.
So ESPN tweeted out like a documentary, a preview of a documentary, like a trailer for D Wade, and it was D Wade back in the 2010 free agency where he was visiting different teams like the Bulls, the Nets, the Knicks, and all this shit.
Oh yeah, I saw that with the New York State of Mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and then ESPN, I think the tweet said, what did it say? It said something like, "Oh, Knicks fans thought D Wade was coming," or some shit like that. When there was like four other teams mentioned in the video, but
Yeah, and they
they're
only
all,
dealt the Knicks.
yeah, that's what it is, man. They just fit their narrative. Whatever gets clicks, whatever gets impressions, retweets, and all that shit. So Melo, like, you throw his name on anything, it's gonna get reads, it's gonna get clicks, it's gonna get all that shit because he's a polarizing dude, and it's been for all the wrong reasons in the media that just come up with all this bullshit.
Yeah, if you want a free couple hundred likes under a Bleacher Report post, just say anything about Carmelo.
Exactly.
It'll stick.
Exactly. So we touched on this real quickly earlier, and I agree with you, but I just want to hear your reasoning as to why. The question is, what's the key to Melo having a good game? What needs to happen for you to think that Melo is going to go off, or to just put Melo in a position to succeed?
It's a combination of three things. I think first off, you need to get him going right away. Well, maybe not right away, but you got to keep him involved in the first quarter.
Early.
You can't ignore him and have him spot up. You give him a couple shots on the block or post up. If it works, keep going to it. Don't look to get your 20 points a game, CJ McCollum. Keep it going. 1-2 game, whatever it is. Get Melo the ball and keep. It's the way. If you're winning that way, winning the game that way, I don't know why you turn away from it or decide, oh, Melo doesn't need these points. He'll hit a couple shots in the end. You got to keep him involved. And then second, I say the proper minutes. Because if he comes off to a hot start, you can't stub him out and then keep putting him in back and forth, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, let him ride out the hot streak. And third, I'd say he has to come into the game with a clear mind because We see it when he returns to Denver. He's usually off to a rocky start, and
Yeah.
it holds him back in the end because he's not really playing with a clear mind. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of memories, a lot of booing. It kind of throws him off a little bit. When he has a clear mind, he's always locked in.
And it's weird because you mentioned Denver, and he I don't think he's ever played well there, like since he's left there, even with the Knicks and Thunder, whatever. But when he comes to New York, and I don't know how he doesn't have, I don't know how he has a clear state of mind when he's coming back to MSG where he's fucking loved and all this shit. So it's kind of weird how that works out. But dude, I 100% agree with the first thing you said. I think to me the number one key to using Melo, utilizing him, and him being efficient is to get him involved early. Get him some shots on the block, at the elbow and shit, and let him feel comfortable. Even if he misses them, he still kind of gets that depth perception and feels something, like feels the ball and all that shit. When he's out there and Lillard and McCollum are doing all that shit and he's getting spot up threes, that doesn't get him in the zone. That's what they tried doing in OKC. That's what they tried doing in Houston, and it doesn't work. When you get this fucking guy the ball early, let him do his thing. And like you said, if he's hot, keep going to it. Why would you not? If he's hitting 80% of his shots in mid-range, you keep going to it. You don't sub him out every single time at 4 minutes, at 6 minutes, whatever, like Stotts does. I think Stotts is a good coach for the most part, but his kind of inability to adjust his rotations on the fly like that, it's so manual, it's so automatic, it's so set. Like, all right, at 4 minutes, Melo's coming out, and then he's starting the second quarter, and then at 6 minutes, he's coming back out, and it's mad frustrating. Like, if he's playing well, keep him in. If he's not, then sure, obviously take him out at that time. But I think that's the number one thing, dude. You could tell last night he started 5 for 5, and then they took him out, and he came back in the second quarter, and he missed a couple shots. It's like, yo, just leave him in. But at the same time, when he goes 5 for 5, you know, all right, it's gonna be a good night.
Yeah, Terry Stotts kind of reminds me of Mike D'Antoni, how he subs him out automatically every time the clock hits 2 minutes. He would sub out Melo.
I don't
Didn't matter
understand.
how the game was going, whether you needed him or not, who was in foul trouble, was Melo's coming out at this time every
Yeah.
time.
And I think I can kind of get that in a weird way because Melo's 35, so you need to really regulate his minutes. But at the same time, if he's doing well, play him the whole first quarter and then don't bring him in into the second until like there's 5 minutes left, whatever. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
you need these games to get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
Jaren Jackson Jr. is injured. You shouldn't have lost the other night or a few nights ago when they played the Pelicans. You needed that game
yeah,
because now the Grizzlies have a little bit of a tough schedule going down the stretch, and they have an injury to their second best player. So if it takes a couple extra minutes for Melo a night, I think you need that just to get into the playoffs.
100%. Switching it up a little real quick. Curious to get your opinion on this coming from a Knicks fan. Straight up, does J.R. Smith deserve to be in the league?
Yes,
Why?
he's a shot creator. He's a defender. His decision making at times is off, but as he said in all the smoke interview, LeBron wasn't even mad at him in Cleveland throughout the years because of, oh, he took this shot, he wasn't supposed to, it was ill advised. It was if he wasn't focused on defense. And they wouldn't have won that game 7 in the finals if J.R. Smith didn't start off the second half erasing the deficit by himself. They were down a few points at halftime. The third quarter starts, he has like 7 points off the rip. And I think he had like 21 or 22 in game 7. So he showed you he's a key part of a winning team. And if you have him on your team, which he should be in the NBA, you have a better chance at winning than if you have some random guy that says all the right things and dives for a loose ball in garbage time. You need J.R. Smith. This guy's a pure hooper.
Uh, I think everybody knows how good he is offensively or how good he can be. Obviously, he's a streaky player and all that shit. What about his defense do you think people don't see? Is it literally the same thing? Do you think it's a narrative around JR that, oh, he just chucks up shots and he doesn't play defense, or is there something deeper to it, do you think?
No, it's just the memes. Another one with J.R. Smith. Just say anything about J.R. Smith under a Bleacher Report tweet, and you have a few hundred likes automatically. And they don't watch the games and see this guy. They just think about Game 1 of the 2018 finals. They don't worry about the Game 7 or that entire playoff run in general, or the years in New York where you could give J.R. Smith the ball at the end of the game and he can hit a shot for you.
Do you remember that? I think he had 2 in 1 year, game winners.
Yeah, it was the Kings and the Suns, right?
Suns and
Or the
Hornets.
Wildcats. Oh,
Hornets.
yeah. And they were both a step back on the left side of the court.
Yeah.
Same exact shot at the end of the
Yeah,
game. So he's reliable
yeah.
for the most part.
He's been doing it. It's not like, he did it for a little bit. He's been doing this for a while. And yeah, man, I agree. I think, you see guys like Jared Dudley, and we pick on him a lot, but you see guys like, let me think if I could see anyone on the Blazers. Nah, no one on the Blazers. But just these guys who, yeah, they say the right thing. Yeah, they'll dive on the ball when their team is up 20 with 45 seconds left. Yeah, they'll shoot 35% from three, but they can't create shots. They can't. They're not explosive. They literally add nothing, but they're just like a piece there that is to complement, LeBron, or just stand there. And if we need you, then okay. I have no idea how no team has signed J.R. Smith yet. He's a dude who can, like you said, like I said, create his own shot. He could single-handedly bring a team back into the game if he hits four straight threes. Like, he's very capable of doing that shit. So when I see guys who have skill like that, like some of Chris Brickley's videos that he posts of J.R. Smith, there's not many players that could do what he does. I'm talking about footwork. I'm talking about his shots and all this shit. But these Daryl Morey's and these analytical GMs and all this shit, they only look as, okay, if LeBron drives and he goes to the block and this guy shoots 36% from this corner three, if he just it just like sucks, man. It's just like kind of annoying to watch. Like, I love watching J.R. Smith. He's my second favorite player of all time, and it's just like frustrating that guys like him, and even a guy like Jamal Crawford, he scored 50 points his last game, I'm pretty sure. You don't do that and then not make a roster the next season. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and that's how the GMs sell the owners on the numbers, because these GMs aren't basketball minds. They're billionaires. They got their money off of looking at numbers and doing things a certain way. So if you say, oh, look at these guys in a gym one-on-one, look at this guy's footwork, look at his handles, his step back, how he's locked in when he shoots the ball, how he does certain things, they can say, what does that mean to me? I don't watch sports. I just own the team. This is my money back right here.
Yep.
But if you tell them the numbers of this guy taking this shot at this moment in the game from this spot, who passed it to him, they're going to give you a number for that, and it sells them on that.
Yeah. Do you hate that?
Yeah.
Me too.
Because it's him, it's Jamal Crawford, Lance Stevenson, Michael Beasley. These guys, if you give them the ball, they can score. And J.R. Smith and Lance Stevenson can play some defense too if you need them to. They're a lot more reliable than these guys sitting at the end of the bench that probably don't even do the things J.R. Smith and them do in the game in practice against the other third-string guys.
Dude, I was kind of hoping that Melo would be a case study for some of these GMs and coaches and front offices. Like, hey, this guy doesn't have the best VORP or defensive rating percentage when it's a Thursday and the temperature is below 60 degrees and it's an odd number, all this shit. But this dude, like, you give him the ball and he's a good basketball player. Like, you don't need numbers or analytics to prove that Carmelo Anthony is a great basketball player. You don't need that shit to prove that J.R. Smith is a great basketball player. Lance Stevenson, all these guys. So it's really frustrating. I think it takes away from the game a lot because it's become very, what's the word for it? Kind of robotic in that, you got the ball handler like LeBron or Harden or whoever the fuck it is, and they do their thing. They make a move, get a guy open, and they just spot up three. So, analytics might say it works, but I think it's really frustrating to watch sometimes when we've kind of grown up watching these Melo JRs and these skilled dudes fucking ball out.
Yeah, and it's the problem with Melo. On top of the numbers that they put out, they say, "Oh, he didn't accept his role," which is false. These four guys accepted their roles. They know they're bench players. J.R. Smith can start on some teams, but they know their role. It's not like they're a problem with their role. They want to be superstars. They want 15, 17 shots a game. They know what they're there to do.
Yeah.
And it's on your coach to be able to get the most out of them. They've proven that they have the skill to be able to do it.
So, Matt, 9 years ago, or almost 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago, Carmelo Anthony played his first game for the New York Knicks. Insanely emotional, coming home, so much hope around the city, all that. I want to know, where does it rank among your all-time favorite basketball and sports moments in general? Not Melo's tenure with the Knicks, but that night, him coming home and beating the Bucks at MSG.
That night, I'd say, is around top 3 range, because I'm a Giants fan. They won 2 Super Bowls, so those are
Fair.
2 great moments. But
Fair.
Melo's debut is right up there. My favorite player at that point, like 5-6 years, is finally on my favorite team. And it's not like Amari Stoudemire where he has a new injury every night, somebody we could rely on. He's not a $100 million cheerleader. It's a guy that, like, he could literally be the face of the franchise. We weren't the only team that would be able to give him a max contract. It's not like he was a red flag. It was Carmelo Anthony, a superstar that can finally win the Knicks their first playoff series in how many years at that point?
13, 10? I think.
Well, yeah, the night of his debut was like 10 years.
The Nuggets debut was 10 years?
Oh, no. The Knicks' last playoff series win.
I'm pretty sure it was 13. I'm pretty sure 2000 was the last one.
Yeah, so at that point, him winning the series would be 13 years. It was finally a guy that could make New York, like, feel like they weren't losers anymore, put it that way. They can actually be respectable on the court, and they have the man to do it. 25 points a night.
Yeah. So when you say he was your favorite player for a while and then he came to your home state, not many people kind of loved Melo and loved the Knicks like you and I did. A question for you, did you always want him to come to the Knicks, or like was that a dream of yours, or when it happened were you just like, all right, this is awesome?
It was more when it happened, this is awesome.
Me too.
Because when you look at the Knicks, it's like they've been a free agency destination other than Amari Stoudemire.
Right.
And it was mainly because they were the only top suitor for him that would give him a max contract. But when you look at Carmelo, and it's your favorite player, it's your favorite team.
Yeah.
MSG gets to watch it for free every night. You don't have to worry about the league pass. It was great. A few years.
Yeah, bro, I was the same way. When Melo was in Denver, like, I watched the Knicks here and there. Like, I loved Marbury when he was here. But for some reason, I just never dreamt, like, oh, shit. I really wish that Melo would come to the Knicks because I never really thought it was possible. And even that season, when there was so many trade rumors and everything, like, the All-Star break, it kind of got real. And I remember before the season, Melo didn't sign the extension, and everyone was like, oh, shit, could he be going to the Knicks, apparently? And I was just like, it's not going to happen. Like, why would he come here? This isn't a free agent destination. They gave Amari $100 million, like you said, because probably nobody else would. We don't really know. But it just seems so unreal that a dude of Melo's caliber would come here and want this challenge, and in 2014 want it again and stick through it, and he almost left to Chicago. But, we know how much he was underappreciated here and how much we respected him and all that shit. But for me, if I'm ranking that all-time sports moments, I'm a Giants fan too. I'm not a diehard Giants fan though. I'm a Yankee fan, so I would probably say the Yankees winning '09 would probably be number one, and I think Melo coming to the Knicks might be number two. Just like the energy, the vibe around. I live on Long Island, so it was obviously in the city. But even out on Long Island, people were fucking going crazy for the Knicks and all that shit. So I think it's probably be number two for me.
Yeah, and to think that, like, people shouldn't have turned on him anyways. Just considering all the things he did for the city, the team, everything. He gave it his all. It wasn't like he was just there collecting a check on the bench. He was there to play. He was there to try to save the Knicks and win games. And the front office did him wrong, so the people shouldn't have turned on him, these Knicks fans. Yeah,
I posted a tweet from Control the Narrative the other day where it was like I think it was the Melo intro, or maybe it was the highlights from his first game. And everyone's like, dude, look who he's playing with. Like, I get it was the first game, but through all those years, you look at the guys that were on the court with him, from Jose Calderon to Samuel Dalembert to Sasha Vujacic to Ronnie Turiev to all these just fucking scrubs, man. And everyone was saying, wow, like the front office really did him dirty. We never really gave him a fair chance. And I think people are starting to wake up a little bit too late, but I guess better late than never. Not really sure.
Yeah, and the standard of Melo always changes. They expect him to win all these rings and do this and that and say, oh, if you're this caliber player, do this. Well, it's different when you can pass the ball to Chris Bosh on the block, or you can pass it to Jared Jeffries and drop the ball at the end of the game.
Facts. All right, Matt, so we reached the end of this episode, and at the end we always like to give our guests the opportunity to control the narrative about whatever it is they want to control the narrative about, whether it's Carmelo Anthony or Damian Lillard or the 2007 Knicks or whatever the fuck it is. So what do you kind of want to set the record straight on and control the narrative about?
The free ISO zone movement. This guy is easily, now that Morris is gone, I think he's the most versatile scorer on the team. He's the most skilled scorer. He's an efficient scorer. And for people to say, "Oh, he's not playing because he doesn't play defense," the team doesn't get to 13th in the East because one person doesn't play defense. This guy's proven he can score. He's accepted his role as a six man. He was proud to play as a six man last year. He's shown his ability, what he can do. And at times this year, when he actually did get to play, David Fizdale put him in at point guard against De'Aaron Fox. So he's playing out of position. He's not playing with rhythm. He's playing the fastest point guard in the league, or one of, depending on how John Wall recovers. So I don't think it's fair to pin it on him and say you're going to sit on the bench for 48 minutes, and maybe if we're down by 40, you can come in and get a couple shots up. And then people criticize you even more and forget about rhythm.
And to be clear, you're talking about Allonzo Trier.
Yep, Allonzo Trier.
Word. That's interesting, man. I think guys who have skill, there's always a place for them in the league. Apparently not anymore in 2020 with all these analytics and shit. But I believe in Allonzo Trier. I think he's a baller. When I was watching pregame warm-ups or whatever, I was watching him shoot, and I think he shot 15 or 16, and I don't think he missed a single one. Like, this dude, he can hoop, and there's just some things you can't measure from VORP or something like that. I want to see if I could pull something real quick to show you how much I believed in him, and I still do. I feel like you'll appreciate this. I collect basketball cards and shit, so it's pretty much like an investment. All Allonzo Trier. Coming into the season, I was like, all right, this guy's going to ball out. He's a sixth man. Like, that's what he is. And it seems like he accepted it. It seems like he was willing to do whatever, even though he started opening night, didn't he?
Yeah, him and RJ Barrett were like taking turns playing point guard for some reason.
It's weird. So I still think he would do that six-man thing in a heartbeat. And, yeah, I'm on board with that. Hashtag free ISOZO. Hashtag free Swish. And Melo's free, so I guess that's that with that. But
yeah, free J crossover.
Free J Cross.
What's his name? Lance Stevenson, born ready. Free Michael Beasley. Everybody.
Free everybody. Free all the skilled players.
These guys are some of the most skilled scorers in the NBA. And people are saying, "Oh, they don't do this, so they shouldn't play." Well, there's a lot of people on a lot of teams that don't do anything and they don't score like them. So it's like, why are these guys getting kicked out just because they can score?
You think that's what it is, that they can score, so they get penalized for it in a weird way?
Yeah, people just assume because they can score that maybe they won't accept the role or they won't be unselfish. But especially with Allonzo Trier, you're playing him out of position and he doesn't have rhythm. So what do you expect him to do? Is he just gonna walk into the game after not playing for 2 weeks and score 40? How do you expect him to develop and he's not on the court? He has no opportunity.
And again, man, I said this recently, but I feel like Melo should have been a case study for these guys. That, look, everyone counted this guy out. Everyone was talking about how bad his defense was. He apparently got cut because of his defense, all that bullshit. But it's not true. Like, you see it. He's helping this team win games. So it's not all about that shit. I hope that it would open a lot of people's eyes that work in front offices and shit, but it's not looking like it, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially with Jamal Crawford, because he's a couple of years older than Melo. So time is money. He shouldn't go out like this where he gets a 51-point game and it's not a farewell game. It's just, all right, you're not coming back and we're not going to tell you ahead of time. You're just going to have to sit here and wait and work out and do all this stuff, and there's nothing you can do about it but wait.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. Well, Matt, appreciate you taking the time out to hop on the podcast tonight. Drop your @ tell everyone what your @ is so everyone can hit you up on Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Matt the Knicks fan, MATTKNICKSFAN.
All right,
on
cool.
Twitter, Instagram, everything.
So hit Matt up, yo. He knows his shit, obviously. If you listen to this all the way, you know that he does. So hit him up with the follow. Matt, again, appreciate you taking the time out, dude.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, stay mellow, baby.
Stay mellow.
Later.